It is time to breathe again on the Breath of Fresh Air webcast on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. It is good to be with y'all on this Tuesday evening. I am Charles. You see Patrick with me, and welcome to the show. So, Patrick, we have a lot to cover in a short amount of time. So, let's jump on it and let's start. Jump on it and let's start. and we'll start. I mean, there's so many places we can go with this, but I guess let's start with the Indianapolis Colts because Carson Wentz is going to be out for a little while. The timeline, Patrick, is anywhere between 5 and 12 weeks. Huge gap there. Huge. I know, right? Huge gap there. But I guess he has an injury with his foot. And he was going to rehab it. But I guess now he decided we're going to go ahead. We're going to get this surgery. We're going to get it fixed. And it's going to be 5 to 12 weeks. So we'll see when he comes back. Now,
1 to 7 years, whatever.
Whatever he's good, right? So with that being said, let's say he comes back. All right, I think the season starts around September 9th. I'm not exact with that date, but I think it starts around I think it is September 9th with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Dallas Cowboys playing on that Thursday night. But if let's say he is going to,
I'll fact check you.
All right, cool, appreciate it. But let's say he's out until October, around October. The Colts' first 5 games, and this isn't the exact order, but I think it's close. I know this. They have Seattle, they have the LA Rams, they have Tennessee, Miami, and Baltimore. Tough schedule to begin, absolutely. But what's up?
You are right. September 9th, Dallas, Tampa Bay, in Tampa Bay.
In Tampa, yeah. So they got to get the banner up and down there at Raymond James Stadium. So
yeah.
So
better hurry.
They're running right. So the thing is, very tough stretch for the Colts to navigate through. So I want to get your opinion on this effect. With Carson Wentz being down, is it a lot of people are talking about it like it's a huge loss. But is it really? Because I kind of have my doubts about it. It's no disrespect to Carson Wentz. It's just more to me about how the Colts are built, which is why I think they can sustain if they decide to go with, well, your boy. Well, I don't know how you feel about it being your boy now since he went to Washington, but Jacob Easton will be the guy who takes these snaps. So how do you feel about the Colts?
I mean, look, Jacob Eason he's a good player. Personally, without him taking snaps in the NFL, we don't know what Jacob Eason is going to be able to be capable of. I will say this: the kid will throw downfield, and we don't know what we're going to get out of Carson Wentz at that point either. So we don't know if he's going to throw downfield. But I can tell you, Eason is ready to throw down the field. So, look, it's hard to know what you have in Carson Wentz because you just don't know how he's coming from Philadelphia. That last year, he just was not what we expected him to be as a quarterback, right? So moving forward, just because he changes teams doesn't build his confidence in himself. He still has to do that himself. And now he has a foot injury, and he's out for 12 to 50 years. We don't know which one yet.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. He might have already played his last game, as a matter of fact. He might already be retiring. Who knows?
Huge gap there.
I mean, 5 to 12 weeks. I mean, that doesn't give me anything. As a head coach, I'm going, I need more. There's more input that needs to come through right now because this is our starting quarterback, and we're fixing to give it to a guy that has not taken any snaps in the NFL in a live game. I need more. I need more. Over communicate, because 5 to 12 weeks ain't telling me crap. But you did go over their schedule. I got to look over their schedule one more time because I want to see who they're playing again. So they got Seattle, Los Angeles, at Tennessee, at Miami. Shit, even with Carson Wentz, that might be a 1-3 anyway. You know what I'm saying? So, because I mean, my personal opinion, I don't care if you got Carson Wentz or if you got Jacob Eason or whoever. I mean, you're going against Russell Wilson at Russell Wilson in Seattle. That's going to be a hard game, whether that's away or home. Now you got Los Angeles, and that's going to be a hard game regardless. Tennessee, I mean, Miami might be their only win regardless.
Yeah, and to me, so here's the saving grace. I mean, or there's a silver lining for Colts fans out there who put a lot of stock into Carson Wentz being there. Now, I'll say this. Number one, I like them getting Carson Wentz. I felt like this would be the perfect situation for him to start to get his mojo back, because it looked like he had some stuff he was battling in his head, particularly last year. He looked like he had the yips. He couldn't. He thought he was going to get hit when the pressure really wasn't there at times. I mean, he was battling some stuff in his head.
He was flinching on the bench.
You're right. So
right, bro.
So what I will say though is he's gonna come. He was gonna come to Indianapolis, and it was gonna be a system that's quarterback friendly. And what the Colts do well is run the football, and they play good defense. So I say that because I don't think the Colts brought Carson Wentz in with the intention of him being the savior of everything. I think they brought him in to say, hey, we know you're capable of making plays down the field. We know you're capable of perhaps getting back to an MVP caliber level, because whether people want to believe it or not, he was at an MVP level at once upon a time. So
Super Bowl year.
Yeah, exactly. And so if he just sits there, just takes care of the ball, hands the ball off, and then you play the play action pass system, you go downfield to guys like T.Y. Hilton, the Colts have a system that can work, because you hear what I say all the time. I mean, I know you agree with me. If you can run the football and you can play good defense, you have a chance to win any week you go out there to play. The Colts do those things well, even if they have Jacob Easton. Now, hey, you know, even though the 5 to 12 week thing is a huge gap in terms of when Carson Wentz can be back, the one thing you do know is you can at least start to prepare Jacob Eason. You have a month, so he can go through preseason games. He can go through these joint practice sessions. He will be pretty well prepared. Frank Wright is a good head coach, former offensive coordinator for the Eagles when they won the Super Bowl championship back in 2017. That he'll be fine. Now, like you said, with Carson Wentz, even if they had Carson Wentz, that schedule to begin is rough. It is a tough schedule. But no, I'm not ready to say the Colts season is done just because Carson Wentz is out. I think they're too well constructed of a team to say that. And I don't think Tennessee is good enough to start running away with the AFC South either. That now, I know they added Julio Jones to go with A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry running the ball, but Tennessee's defense is still not good. So I don't think they're running away from anybody. Their schedule is a little easier to begin, but I think the Colts can hang in there for a little bit until Carson Wentz comes back. If he comes back, I mean, like you said, it could be 50 years from now when he returns. Who knows?
Who is Who's Tennessee's quarterback?
Ryan Tannehill, as I used to say all the
That's right.
time.
Hey, look. With that being said,
He's been playing pretty good with
the
Tennessee.
Colts are fine. The Colts are fine because yes, he has been playing well, and adding Julio Jones to that wide receiver core is going to help him out a lot. But let's make this completely and abundantly clear: it's Ryan Tannehill, and I'm done.
Well, all right then. But all right, but I guess we're in agreement that says, hey, the Colts, they can still sustain because of the way they're constructed.
Yeah, I think they'll be fine. Whether they have Wentz or Eason under center, I don't think it's going to matter. Like you said, they constructed a very good defense, and they have a really good
Supporting
they have
cast.
a really good team, and you don't have to rely on the passing game with the Colts. So no, I think they'll be fine. I mean, don't get me wrong; those first 4 games are going to be brutal, and they're probably going to come out. They can probably come out 2-2. But honestly, I think that's the best, because when you go up against Seattle, and then you're gonna have to go up against Los Angeles, I think both of those teams are way better than the Colts. So,
all right, well, Patrick, let's get with this next topic. So this is kind of with the exception of the topic we just talked about, this is kind of a reflection show, and just kind of how we look at things in terms of philosophies and what we believe in, what we like with traditions, and how we are going into this new time, this new era, I guess. So, with that said, this next topic involves teams and how they deal with their star players. So, of course, we have the case of Aaron Rodgers and his mess, the saga, if you want to call it that, with the Green Bay Packers. And the one thing Aaron Rodgers, I guess, was complaining about was not really being involved in the decision-making process when it comes to personnel moves. Now, we also know, Patrick, we also know that
come on, his name is not LeBron James.
Well, a lot of this stems from Tom Brady and what he was able to do with Tampa Bay. Now, we, meaning you and I, we understand also that a lot of people, that they seem to forget the fact Tom Brady leaves money on the table. And so he can come in there and say, hey, can you get this guy, this dude, and that dude? I'll take this contract that's cap friendly, so you guys can get these other players that I'm asking for. There's a lot of compromise there. Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, all the rest of these quarterbacks, they're making all the monies. And again, get your money, but understand you might be handcuffed in terms of what a team can do to build around. And if it doesn't work for you because you're not as elite as everybody might want to put you up to be, don't start going to the media and everybody else complaining. Oh, man, I'm getting hit too much, like Russell Wilson was doing. Oh, man, I want more say-so. So, my question to you, Patrick, when it comes to superstar players and teams and the relationship, do you think, if you feel like there is a say-so these guys have, how much would you want to include these star players in that process of building teams?
Okay. I'm going to answer that question, but I want to piggyback on what you said first.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like you said, Aaron Rodgers is getting paid, what, $40 million a year?
It's a restructured contract. At the very least, he's 36 million. At the very least.
36 million. Okay. Russell Wilson, 36 million. Who was the other one you said?
I think I'm trying to think. Who else did I say? But if I didn't mention him, Deshaun Watson, he's another one.
Deshaun Watson, 31 million, I think.
39.
39. So he got his restructured as well. Okay, so you're looking at 36, 39. Okay. let's look at Tom Brady. His last year with the Patriots, that fast forwarded to his first year with Tampa. Tom Brady made $31 million last year. $31 million. All of his came on what I think is some of the best contracts that you can possibly put in there, performance-based. If I throw this amount of touchdowns, I get this. If I do this, I get this. If I do that, I get that. Because the best part about incentives like this is, okay, Tom, we're going to pay you $20 million. That's where our cap goes. Incentives do not go against your cap. They just don't. So Tom Brady is like, I am willing to totally give you $10 million, but give me an opportunity to make that $10 million in incentives. I'm going to throw this many touchdowns. I'm going to make this many completions. I'm going to take care of this ball. And as I fumble or as I throw interceptions, I'm going to give money back. That's what I like about Tom Brady. For the first time, we saw two other people do this at the end of last year. Who were they? Matt Ryan, Patrick Mahomes. Now you're going to start watching these two teams do substantially better. Why? Because they're willing to give something to gain something. This is one of the things that that my wife does in her business. It's one of the things that I'm going to do in my business. I'm going to look at my employees and I'm going to be, what are you willing to give to gain? So now to answer your question, if I'm going to include my quarterback in future, we'll say
positions.
Future positions, right? Okay. I'm going to look at him and I'm going to say, I would love to get this wide receiver for you. So what are you willing to give to gain it? There's how I'm going to incorporate them in moving forward to get this, because I'm looking at Deshaun Watson. I'm like, dude, you're at $40 million, bro. You are at $40 million. My cap is, let's just say hypothetically, 140. You are literally taking 1/3 of my salary cap. So you want Julio Jones? Fantastic. Let's go get him. What are you willing to give to gain? Because it's that simple. I mean, at the bottom, I mean, I get it. I understand. All of these teams make so much money throughout the year, but the NFL is the one that caps the organizations, not the team. If the team had to cap it, whatever, you know what I mean? But the NFL caps those teams. And if the NFL is going to cap those teams, and I'm looking at Deshaun Watson going, you make $40 million. My cap is 160. You are taking 1/4 of my total cap. You want him? What are you willing to give the game? Because I have to cut somewhere to get him. How are you wanting to do this? And I would let them come in, because everybody knows their contract. I mean, it's public at this, throughout the world. It's public knowledge. Everybody knows. So what are you willing to give the game? Because I got to stay under cap. Yeah, we could go under cap. I'm going to get hit with fines, $5, $6, $8 million per however it goes per month that I'm over cap. Whatever. That's fine. But what are you willing to give the game? Because I'm not going over cap.
Yeah, and I guess that's the thing with it being in the NFL. The cap it's different. It just makes things different, just from other sports, whether it is basketball, baseball, hockey, whichever one. And we know in basketball, this dynamic is well slided toward the player, because the players do have a lot of say, so they can go in here, they can sign brand new deals, about 4 or 5 year contracts. And then a year goes away. Oh man, demand a trade. It's not going to work out. I mean, you signed a 4 or 5 year deal. You were supposed to be here for the long haul. Now all of a sudden you're like, oh no, time to jump ship. Garbage.
Last, so I'm out.
Yeah, like I think that's trash how that works, but that is the structure you kind of have with basketball and this whole thing with the player empowerment movement. I think if you're asking me on the surface, does Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson, for that matter, I bring those two up specifically because they're the ones who made these headlines by basically crying about their situations. So I I think those two, if you want to say, hey, look, we're thinking about drafting a replacement for you, or we are thinking about maybe going this direction, what do you think we should do? And you go and you get his opinion about it. And it's not necessarily saying you're going to listen to him completely, but I guess at least you just take into consideration what he has to say because he's playing with these guys every day. So I can understand that on the surface. But because of the contracts they are making, these are supposed to be the elite of the elite quarterbacks. So therefore, with this cap, with this cap here, and the team can only do so much. That means you, as the quarterback, has to be able to elevate the team to Super Bowl levels. They're paying you that way. You need to be able to elevate them that way. Mm-hmm. Too many times, both Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson have come up short in that regard. And for the people who might say, oh, Charles, you're being unfair here. Well, you want to give the quarterback all the credit when he does something good. So he deserves to be criticized when things don't go the way they're going or they want him to go, especially when he is making all the money that he is making. Simply put.
And I can add this on there. It also, same thing would go for Aaron Rodgers' quote unquote Super Bowl run last year when your team is ranked number 1 in offense, your defense is ranked number 2, and your special teams is ranked number 2. And you got Tom Brady to throw 3 interceptions and you still couldn't win the game. So yeah, it is on the quarterback. And you're absolutely right. You will never hear me go, oh, Charles, you're being too hard. As a matter of fact, I think you should be a little bit rougher on him. Because let's be honest. He wants all the money. He wants all the fame. He wants all the glory. But if something goes wrong, he's blaming the defense. That's not how it works.
Or Russell Wilson's blaming the offensive line for not protecting him.
Okay, well, Russell, give up some money so I can go get you an offensive line. You know what I'm saying? So if you want all the money, I'll give you all the money. But you're also going to be picking your butt up off the ground quite a few times because I can't afford anybody else to put on the field. I'm capped. NFL cap, not organization, not Seattle capping myself. This is NFL capping me. So you want to make $60 million? Fantastic. Here's $60 million, bro. But I'm going to put 3 linemen on there, and that's it. Because that's all I can afford.
And Patrick, another thing with Aaron Rodgers. Now, you know me, and I know you agree with me when it comes to Aaron Rodgers. I think he is one of the best quarterbacks we have seen. Mm-hmm. Not taking that away. I'm not taking anything away from the man's ability. But this is what you have. After 2010, got a Super Bowl title there. And look, if you get 1 Super Bowl title, that is a great thing. A lot of people want to act like, oh, you just have 1 Super Bowl title. There are many players who will take 1 Super Bowl title. Just
anybody that says that, I go, well, how many Super Bowls you got?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I got none.
But
you got 1.
But since 2010, they haven't been back to the Super Bowl. Now they have made him being the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. They have been to the NFC Championship game 4. Okay,
4 times. I think.
Yeah. So 2014 lost at Seattle. 2016 lost in Atlanta. 2019 lost to us in San Francisco, and then last year lost at home to Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm.
He's not elevating them. I don't care what anybody wants to say. Don't tell me the team is not good enough. I don't want to hear, oh, they don't have any receivers. Like what you said, they scored the most points in the league last year. I don't want to hear that. If anything, I understand if you're upset about that Jordan Love pick. The Packers probably should have went defensive line with that pick, seeing how Raheem Mostert is still scoring touchdowns on them, but like he did in the NFC Championship game.
He's
But
still running.
but the reason why, look, I can understand this, Patrick. They moved up and drafted Jordan Love because honestly, they didn't think Aaron Rodgers was showing the good side of himself anymore. He didn't have to. He had okay years in 2018 and 2019, but they weren't typical Aaron Rodgers years. So they're like, oh, I don't know, man. He might be starting to get up there. They said they moved up there to draft it. Aaron Rodgers said it himself in that interview with Kenny Mayne, Patrick, when he said, oh, man, I threw a wrench into their plans by winning the MVP. He knew it.
Mm-hmm.
So even Aaron Rodgers knew he wasn't playing at an all-star level like that. So I just think there's a lot of tea leaves there that have been dropped, which we got into last week. But I think I'm okay with the team going to a star quarterback, asking them their input on it. And if that's what it's going to take to smooth things out, then okay, I understand. But I will also say this, Patrick, if they really want to be like Tom Brady, they need to learn how to do Tom Brady things. And until they learn how to do those, you'll get the same result as far as I'm concerned.
I agree with you. And, you also have to look at it from another point of view, which it just came to me. Aaron Rodgers has been there for 16 years. Mm-hmm. To me, I would also have to take that into consideration. A quarterback that's been there that long, yeah, give him. You've been there 2 or 3 years, man. I ain't got no. But you've been there for 16. You show some loyalty to the organization. We showed loyalty back. Let's make some decisions together. Let's see what we can do to put together a run so we can put some more jewelry on our finger. I have no problem with that. But I mean, like Seattle with Russell Wilson, absolutely. And I can see why Tampa is would reach out to Tom Brady. Hey, bro, dude's got 7 rings. Yeah, I mean, bro, let me bring Tom Brady. I'm be like, so what do you think, Tom? Well, I've only been here for 5 minutes. Tom, look, listen to me. What do you think? Where should we take the organization? Think, Tom. I mean, come on, But it's 16 years, man. That does pull a little bit of seniority and has a little bit of weight. I would ask Aaron what he thinks. Yeah.
Yeah, man, and it would have to be a quarterback like that. Like, I'm not going to ask
Tannehill. No,
I'm not going to ask Tannehill what he thinks. I'm probably not going to ask Sam Darnold what he thinks too much.
I'm not going to ask Luka Eason. Now, if Eason wants to put in the time and he shows that he is at that elite level, he gives me 15 years. Absolutely, bro. Let's talk. You know what I mean? But I don't care if Tannehill's been there for 20 years. He's like, I got something to say. Anybody else got anything to say? I got something. Anything. Nothing? Okay. Meeting adjourned. Why didn't you call on me? Because your name is Tannehill. You're done. No. Ain't got time for you.
Well, Patrick, all right, man. Well, let's move on to this topic about rivalries. Now, this one kind of hits near and dear to my heart because I just saw Texas and Oklahoma basically become business partners and move into the SEC.
Welcome aboard.
Appreciate it. We're gonna get our asses kicked, but all right. But
only for a few years. You already made the move, man. Y'all got a Nick Saban camp coach. You're good. You're already SEC like, so you're good.
If by few you mean 10 years, all right, I'm with you. But by
4.
Okay.
You got confusion in there, bro. 4. Oklahoma's not even moving in the SEC direction, so they're like 10.
Well, I just looked at these two teams just become business partners. And it might be something, especially if you're looking at it about 15, 20 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago, where you're thinking, really? 2 rivals like this, they're business partners? Really? What is going on? So it got me thinking, How big of a deal are rivalries to you now? I mean, do you look at rivalries? Do you still get super hyped up when you see a rivalry? So we'll go in college. You got your rivalry with Florida, and then you got the Deep South's oldest rivalry with Auburn. If you're going up to the north, of course, Michigan and Ohio State, that's the big rivalry up there. You just know our rivalry with Oklahoma, and then you have, whatever state rivalry, whether it's Alabama, Auburn, or we can go to the South Carolina with Clemson, Bedlam with Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, go out west with USC, UCLA. I mean, a lot of rivalries, and I'm just naming college football rivalries. I haven't even begun getting into the pro sports rivalries, but do you still get hyped up when those rivalries come on, or is it just kind of like, well, it's just another game now?
I don't. The way I look at it from a college standpoint is I look at it like this: Georgia should win every single game. I don't give a crap if it's a rivalry game or a game against Kentucky. I don't care. It does not matter to me because a win is a win. It doesn't matter if you're playing against your rival or you're playing against another team. To me, I don't really look at rivalries that much like I used to, because I mean it's all about recruiting nowadays. And if my team, and everybody knows I'm a huge Georgia Bulldog fan, Auburn always is going to play Georgia well. But Georgia is kind of, right now, they kind of own Auburn. So it's really not that much of a rival anymore. You know what I mean? You can look at Alabama and Auburn. That hasn't been a rival since Saban took over. So I don't really look at that anymore. I think the way I look at it, my rival is the team is on the other side of football. That's my rival for today. And that's how I move forward on every game. Look, I can win against my rival every year for 20 years, but if I'm ranked number 1 and I lose to Kentucky, it doesn't matter if I won against my rival. Kentucky just smashed me at home. That doesn't matter. That win doesn't matter anymore because Kentucky just smashed me at home. Now I'm not 1 anymore. I'm 5. That wouldn't matter. You see what I'm saying? So to me, I mean, I think rivalries is just one of those ways to sell tickets. And I don't push on rivalries anymore. My rival is on the other side of football, and that's it.
See, I want to cry.
I want to, but I mean, at the end of the day, man, even the rankings don't even take in consideration of rivalries. We got to win.
I want to cry.
well, and don't get me wrong. I wish my answer was different. I do, but it's not.
And and that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to bring this up as a topic, man, because I'm not feeling that way either. I'm with you on the feeling of rivalries just kind of losing their luster. I mean, I can go a lot of different ways with the rivalries, of course, depending on the sport. But let's say the baseball with the Yankees and Red Sox, or the Dodgers and Giants. I mean, a lot of people wanted to put a lot of hype on the Dodgers and Padres earlier, but I mean, the Padres aren't quite there yet. And I tend to think it's one of those things where they're just kind of trying to rekindle things, trying to make it a rivalry. It's not really there. It's still with the Giants. If there is a rivalry for the Dodgers, it's still going to be with the Giants all the time. But even with those said, man, I'm not getting hyped about those like I would even 10 years ago. I mean, and I still do like the rivalry aspect of it. I still like it when the teams had a hated team that they've had for so long, and when they come on up, I still like to get hyped up about it. But one, if the teams aren't that good, so it like, all right, let's go football with this. If the name a rivalry in the NFC East, for an example. Now, if the teams aren't that good, we're not getting hyped up about that like that anymore. In the 90s, those were the games. You saw a Redskins Cowboys game, or Cowboys versus anybody, honestly. But if you saw one of those teams that is up in the Northeast playing the Cowboys, that you stopped everything you did, you were doing at the time to catch those.
Yep.
That's not there anymore, man. That whole thing is gone. That ship has sailed. It is all about, well, if I catch it, then I catch it. But I mean, you're not gonna sit here and try to sell me on a rivalry that was hot 20 years ago, but now it's just kind of like, eh. And it's sad, man. And then, I mean, you like I say, you got Texas and Oklahoma basically being business partners. Really? Ugh. Like, that is gross to me. But it's the new age, man. And when you got money involved, rivalries, tradition, it does not matter anymore. And that's a harsh reality. I think I saw myself really coming to when I saw this whole thing happening with us coming over to the SEC.
Well, and don't get me wrong. I mean, now this would be very interesting because look, Texas, Oklahoma coming over. You look at how because they have to restructure the size. They have to restructure the whole conference now, and does mean that Missouri comes out of the East and goes to the West. They have to. Alabama and Auburn comes over to the East, and I mean, look at what, just because of that, whoever plays an SEC team, like let's say for example Georgia, because they're going to be the one that play. You play Auburn every single year, but now you play Alabama every single year. That excites me. That excites me because I want to see the best games. You know what I mean? I want to see the best games because that to me is sports nowadays. So if Alabama and Auburn come over to the East, that leaves two teams that can get that leaves two out of conference games because Georgia's playing Georgia Tech, so that's their third. So they have to play 7 now. They're playing 7, 8, 9. They're playing 9 conference games now. That's another conference game with them coming over. I mean, this is the reason why I think a super conference is going to be the start of the end of the NCAA. Because once this starts, that's it. That's a super conference. And now you've got other teams that are fixing to make another super conference. And you're probably going to have about four super conferences. And it'd probably be along the lines of SEC, ACC, Big Ten, Pac-12. There's your 4. And they're going to separate and do their own thing. And rivalries are not going to be built in that. They're just not. Because there's truthfully there's nothing that holds any greater value to a win or a loss. And that's even now. And now if they would go back and NCAA would go back and look and say, okay, if this is a rivalry game, you win this, but then lose to Kentucky, we're going to show more value in this win because it is a rivalry. But other than that, they're not doing that. So rivalries are dying. Super conferences are coming together, and you're going to see a lot of Oklahomas and Texases joining together to get to a better place. Hey, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Or maybe it's the whole thing: you keep your enemies you keep your friends close, your enemies closer. That could be it too.
Yeah, and I had seen where just a quick headline. I didn't catch the story, but it was a quick headline saying the Big 12 and the Pac-12 started talking to each other about coming together. Now, I don't know what that really entails, but let's just say for the sake of argument, you have the remaining 8 Big 12 schools go over there to the Pac-12. That is a 20-team conference now, if that is how it's going to go. Now, again, I haven't read the story.
I don't think that's how it would go, but
no, like I said, I haven't read the story. I'm just hypothetically speaking here. And like, if they went ahead and did that, you're talking about potentially, if it is, maybe they're talking to Texas Tech, or if they're talking to TCU about coming over there. But the headline I saw was both conferences were talking to each other. So if both conferences are talking to each other, then there might be some sort of a crazy merger that might be in the process of happening, and that would be 20 teams. I don't think it's gonna get there, but man, the way things are going, that would be your super conference. Like, that would be super conference.
That's your super conference. That's what that is. Well, no, but if you look at the Big 12, I mean, somebody like, I'm trying to look who's in the Big 12 that was there was a team, Iowa State. Like, Iowa State, they would need to go to the conference that Iowa's in.
Yeah, geographically speaking.
See, that's the way I would start looking at it. Start bringing those teams geographically, that is, whether they're being in the Pac-12 or they're being in the ACC or something like that. Start geographically saying, look, hey, it's safer for you, or it's better for you to come up here because, one, there's more money for us, more money for you. Obviously, money is what's going to be the selling factor. And Iowa's here. Who better to put Iowa State than where Iowa's at? You know what I mean? So to me, 20 teams, that's a lot of teams in a conference. 16 is actually a lot, but I think that would probably be where I would max out and say, let's if we need to develop another conference, then we'll develop another conference. But these are your 4, 16, 16, 16, 16, and then let it be.
All right, Patrick. Well, we'll come back to that one soon, I'm sure. But let's move on and let's talk about Major League Baseball's deals that went down in trade deadline. So, of course, we were gone. We were gone. By the time all these deals started happening, we talked about potential moves that could happen, but I don't think too many of us were expecting what transpired. So, I mean, you had the Chicago Cubs and Washington Nationals basically gut their team. They gutted them and they shipped off everybody. So we'll start with the Cubs real quick. You have Anthony Rizzo going to the New York Yankees. You have Chris Bryant going to the San Francisco Giants. Great move by the Giants, by the way.
Best move in the whole thing.
Yeah. And you have Javier Baez. He went to the New York Mets. And then Washington sends Max Scherzer and Trey Turner to the LA Dodgers. Now, you mentioned the Chris Bryant move. Oh, by the way, Kyle Schwarber, he went to the Boston Red Sox. That was another move. And we'll see when Schwarber comes back. He's injured right now, but big time bat for the Red Sox. Now, I think the Red Sox and the Giants, look, bottom line is this. They could not sit back and watch the Yankees and Dodgers make these moves, and then they stayed pat. They couldn't do it. So they had to do what they had to do to, basically do their part in the arms race, because that's what this is right now. It's an arms race. And so Boston's sitting there looking at the Yankees. They got Rizzo and Joey Gallo, which Joey Gallo, he's pretty much the perfect example of what the Yankees are as a lineup: home run, strikeout, occasional walk. So I don't really think that's a big impact there. Rizzo is, though. Rizzo is a big impact. But the Red Sox are looking at that. We're like, no, we got to get another bat. So let's go get Schwarber. The Dodgers, they got Max Scherzer and Trey Turner. Giants are like, what? Can't stay packed with that. Yeah, I get Chris Bryant, dude.
Who's left? Chicago's right. Everybody. Might as well get where the getting's good.
So actually, you just answered my question, Patrick, because what I was going to ask you is, what move makes the most impact to you? And you said that is the Chris Bryant to the Giants one.
That one, and the next one behind that would be the Turner Scherzer move. But that Bryant move was, and you've heard me say it many times on these webcasts, man. I was like, if they would just get one more bat to just sure that lineup, that's all they need, and that's what's going to carry them. I mean, don't get me wrong. I didn't think the Dodgers were going to go out and get Scherzer, much less Turner and Scherzer. Who would have thought that? But no, the Bryant move was probably the best one I saw throughout the entire trade, all the way up to the deadline. That to me was the best pickup of any team, and that's saying a lot because Atlanta went out and got Rubio, which I thought was a really good pick at the time. I was like, woo, that's good. And then the Giants go, we got Bryant, and I'm like, that's even 10 times better. Bastards.
Yeah, I'm with you, man, because the Giants, and that was the main thing that I was wondering about the Giants. They were playing very, very well. Surprising to a lot of people that they are the ones in the first place spot of the National League West. But yeah, could they get enough hitting when it came down to it?
Yep.
We know the Dodgers, they have pitchers. Clayton Kershaw is going to come back. Walker Buehler is a beast. And they have a lot of depth in that rotation. Obviously, we don't know what's. I think Trevor Bauer. I think he's done for the year. He's not pitching anymore. So the Dodgers are looking at it like, and them making that move to get Max Scherzer tells you they don't think he's going to pitch anymore. We got to do something to shore up this rotation. And who better than to get this guy, Scherzer?
And if he does come
back to match it.
Yeah, and if he does come back, throw him in the third spot, and dude.
I mean, it's a stupid rotation if all those people are together. Yeah, that's not fair.
No, it's not. I remember one of the best pitching rotations I had ever seen through the 90s was the Atlanta Braves. And when they had Maddox and Smoltz and Glavine and Avery, and I mean, it just was unfair, right? All right, this is that pitching lineup of this millennium. I mean, that is insane. The only thing the Dodgers are missing is Verlander. That's it. It's insane what they went out and did with a pitching staff, and I swear to God, dude. Do not pull Scherzer. Scherzer will fight you, dude. I really think he will. He will look at you with his multicolored eyes and be like, "I swear to God, you pull me out in the fourth inning, I will." So from your body, he is not the type of person you pull in the fourth inning.
No, you let that man pitch.
You let that man do his job, and you're right. Going to get Scherzer is telling you that they need to shore up that pitching rotation, and they did just that. Oh, and by the way, we got Turner too. Oh, nice. Right,
man. And I just wonder, like, if you're the Cubs and the Nationals, Patrick, both of these teams won World Series in the last 5 seasons. Now, I get it from a Cubs standpoint because you've had this core together for the longest time. Like you and I said before, we think they were still partying, so they probably were never going to get back to this spot. But they just sold. I mean, they sold. Everybody must go. Craig Kimbrell was another guy they traded to the White Sox. And so there you have that breakup, and then with Washington, they just won in 2019, dude. 2019. And they're just saying, nope, Scherzer got to go. Turner got to go. What, is Juan Soto going to be gone too? What are we doing here?
Well, they'll probably keep him because he's a little younger. But they probably don't want to fall into that Cub trend, I guess. I mean, look, and then on top of that, it was only a 60-game season. So, I mean, let's be completely honest. If there was 102 more games, I mean, that was the year anybody could win. Like you said, when we went into that when we went into that webcast and we were saying, well, looks like we're going to have a season, you said anybody could win. And if you're going to win, this will be the year. You might want to do it. So trade, get people that you need in. And that's just what Washington did. And Washington was a strong team. But when you only have 60 games, there's no time. There's no time in your season where you're going to sustain horrendous injuries. You're not going to outpitch your rotation. You're not going to do. There's a lot of things that you're just not going to do. And then on top of that, with all of that, they're giving you like 5 extra players through 2 weeks, and then you're going to have to take 2 people off, and then you got to add another pitcher. I mean, and all of these things that went on with that, it was really set up, like you said, anybody to win.
Well, Washington though, but Washington when they won, I mean, so it was a full season. It was 162 games. And
was it the next year that was the 60 game?
Yeah, it was the year after. Yeah, so
who won it then?
Huh?
Who won it then?
Dodgers did.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the Dodgers won last year in this shortened season. So, but Washington won 162 games, but maybe from them winning. No, it's all good. But the thing with Washington, and that's why I'm wondering, why would they go in the seller's market like that? I understand the Cubs, but Washington just won their World Series in 2019. 2020, 60-game season. We didn't even know if we were going to have a season because of all the stuff that was going on. So that's one of those just, sprint it out. Let's see what we can do, and may the best team win. And that ended up being the Dodgers. Washington was not that far behind the New York Mets in the National League East. I think at the time they were 7.5 games behind. And so I guess, like you said, I can understand them saying, hey, let's go ahead, make these moves, and not fall into that Cubs trap of selling the farm system off to get these big players trying to win now. So I can understand Washington doing that, but man, Trey Turner though, like I can even understand Scherzer a little bit, but Turner, you're gonna let him go? Wow,
he was I don't know if I would have let Turner go, but and I see where you're coming from. But there was a lot of money in that lineup.
There was, yes.
There was a lot of money in that lineup, and probably needing to dump.
Rendon, I think, was one of those bats too, and of course, he got signed for all that money by the Angels.
Rendon?
Yeah.
You say? Yeah. So, I mean, there was a lot of money in that lineup, and I can see where they're probably like, well, if tickets aren't selling, which, let's be honest, they haven't been selling, and the TV deals are not cutting it like you are in the SEC or the Big 12 right now, you might have to sell some people. I mean, dude, there are some teams out there that is just dirt cheap right now. I mean, the Yankees aren't even spending $180, $200 million on their lineup right now. They're spending like, 160, 170. But, I mean, even they took a pay cut.
It's crazy. It is crazy, man. Well, we're probably going to come back to that one too, because baseball, we'll see what happens after this season ends. We know they got a labor battle coming, and we'll see if they avoid a strike.
We'll see if we even have a baseball season next year.
All right. Well, Patrick, before we get out, let's jump into some of this NBA free agency stuff. Now, a couple of things in particular, man, which I think is kind of funny. Number one, a lot of people are acting like Kyle Lowry is the difference between you winning a title and not winning a title. He got traded, it was a sign and trade deal. Now he's a member of the Miami Heat, and now they want to call him, Jimmy Butler, and Bam Adebayo a big three. Man, Miami is not that good. I'm sorry. It's Stan. Shout out to you. I know you're a Miami Heat fan, but yo, there's no. I'm not putting them up here as a favorites for a championship because they got Kyle Lowry. I'm sorry, no, I'm not doing it. You should have heard it, Patrick. They were over here. They were like, "Oh, Kyle Lowry went to the
Kyle
Heat."
Lowry was going to win
Like,
4,
what?
not 5, not 6, not 7, 8, 9, 10 championships.
Like, what? Kyle Lowry, really? And so I didn't understand it. I did not understand all the hype with Kyle Lowry going down there. To me, Patrick, I just think Miami is. I hate to put this on them, Patrick. I do. What I'm about to say, man. I think they were bubblicious. I do. I think they were bubble yum. I just think I don't know if they go on this run, and I'm not taking anything away from the run. It was a great run they had down there. But I don't think they make that run if it wasn't for those circumstances. I just never looked at that roster and said, oh, yeah, this is a championship roster. I never said that about them. And now they done spent all this money to bring Kyle Lowry in. They gave Jimmy Butler a max deal. They gave Bam Adebayo a max deal. And they gave Duncan Robinson $90 million over 5 seasons. And I said, I know he's a good shooter, but we giving him that? Like, this monopoly money that's getting thrown around here by the Heat. It's crazy.
Apparently, everybody's landing on free parking.
Yeah. So, I'm not ready to do that, Patrick. I'm sorry. Forgive me if I said Miami is not. They're not that high.
Look, Miami is not the Heat. That's for sure. Look, I'm not even going to say it was a good pickup. I mean, it's Kyle Lowry. Every time I see this dude's name or I think about him, all I think about is Bad Boys. Mike Lowry. Mike Lowry. So they're picking up Kyle Lowry. Like he's the best. And even then, I'm not even considering him the big 3. I consider him the big 2.5. So I mean, I don't think they're winning the championship with Kyle Lowry. I just don't. Wow, Lowry. Or I can't say his name now.
He's a good player, but is he that? I mean, he's a good player, but is he that? No,
he's not that player. I mean, like I'd be more like, holy crap, they got Kawhi Leonard. Oh, shit. There's your big 3. No, they didn't. They went and got Kyle, and I don't think that he doesn't move the needle in Miami. Let's do it. What we always say: does he move the needle? No. The needle is already as far as it's going to go because they got Bam and they got Butler. That's as far as it's going to go. Now, if you're willing to spend the money and go get somebody like a Kawhi Leonard, your needle will move a little more, but not with Kyle Lowry. It's just not, he does not move the needle. It's like, what were we talking about? I talked about it on a shorty.
Yeah, Russell Westbrook. We're going to get on that a little bit.
Going to LA. He doesn't move the needle. As a matter of fact, that was a better move for Washington than it was LA. I don't think Russell Westbrook moves the needle, but all of those people that the Wizards got, they moved the needle in Washington.
And so about that move with Russell Westbrook going there. So look, you touched on it on your shorty, and I personally, all right. So the Heat, their moves questionable to me. I like the PJ Tucker move when they brought him in there. That's going to bring them toughness. I like PJ Tucker coming in there. But the Lakers moves, I don't understand what they're doing at all right now. So now they're just basically trying to fill out the roster. They traded everybody to get Russell Westbrook. And then they brought Dwight Howard back. They brought Trevor Ariza back. They brought Wayne Ellington back, and they brought Kent Bazemore back. All these guys were with the Lakers at some point. So now they're bringing them back to try to fill this bench out. Look, well, you and I know if this is going to work, somebody's going to have to change their game dramatically. dramatically. And if we're expecting that to be Russell Westbrook, I don't even know how that looks. Because the simple fact is this.
He likes his triple doubles.
Well, that and he is heavily reliant on athleticism. So now, I mean, look, he's an older player now. He's about 32, 33 years old. That athleticism is not necessarily what it used to be. So when you don't have that anymore to go to, what exactly is it he's doing good? He's terrible at shooting the ball. And the thing is, he thinks he's a good shooter.
Hey, we used to call him Mr. 50-50.
Yeah.
And the only reason why we called him Mr. 50-50, and that's if you go back several years and start looking at all of our webcasts, the reason why we called him Mr. 50-50 is because he was stepping off the bus shooting. But he was getting his own rebound and putting it up at the rim. So we've told you for years he is not a good shooter.
Well,
now he can't get his own rebound.
But yeah, and that's the thing. But in order to do that, to get your own rebound, there's got to be some sort of athleticism there.
And he's lost that.
And if he doesn't have that, then I don't know how that really looks. There's going to have to be a huge sacrifice and a huge revamping of his game, or it's just not going to work. And then if you're trying to tell me LeBron's going to change his game, I don't see that happening. Give me a break. He's too egotistical for all that. I don't care what he says. He can go out here and have these press conferences saying, well, we didn't bring Anthony Davis over here just so he wouldn't be the guy. Yet, stop, LeBron. We know you're going to have the ball in your hands 9 times out of 10. And if that's going to be the case, then that means Russell Westbrook is not going to have the ball in his hands. And there goes Russell Westbrook's effectiveness, or any effectiveness he could have had.
He's going to have a bunch of singles.
Yeah. So I don't like it, man. I don't like that move at all. And I think the Lakers, honestly, they sabotaged the team. And honestly, I'm going to go as far as to say LeBron sabotaged the team because we know he's the de facto GM. So if he's the de facto GM, then I don't understand, if you're the Lakers, how you just let this guy come in and basically just wreck teams. LeBron, the GM, has wrecked some teams. We'll just go ahead and say it like that. He wrecked the Cavs. The Heat were able to sustain a little bit, but yeah. And you do all this trying to buy, trying to maximize the time he's going to be there because you're pretty sure after a 4-year contract, he's going to leave. And so you're trying to maximize this. I have look, here's the thing. Also, one other thing, Patrick, before we get out of here, he has already been with the Lakers for 3 seasons. So this is the final year of his contract going in. And I don't know, he goes and he says he wants to finish his career at the Lakers. We can't take LeBron at those words, whatever. He could go to New York. It doesn't matter. But we can't take him.
If he doesn't go to Atlanta, I'm good.
Yeah, but now this is what you do. You trade everybody to get Russell Westbrook, and now you have, Wayne Ellington is a pretty good shooter. Other than that, they don't have the shooting around him. And I just see
the oldest team in the league now.
Yeah, exactly. And Anthony Davis, he's bubble wrap status. So it's a mess.
That's at best.
That's a mess. Well, Patrick, anything to add, Patrick, before we hop on out of here?
I can't think of anything. There was something I was going to say, but I don't remember what it was. But maybe for another.
All right, then. Well, that will conclude this edition of the Breath of Fresh Air webcast. Y'all make sure y'all go to the Breath of Fresh Air YouTube channel and smash that subscribe button and keep the likes coming on the Breath of Fresh Air Facebook page. What you got?
I do got one more thing. I do, and I just remembered it. I'm going to tell you this, Stan. There is at least one team that you can beat. That's the LA Lakers.
All right. Shouts out to you again, Stan. I hope you got that note. Well,
Because
Well,
they're advanced than the Heat is right now.
so we'll on that note, we gonna get on about. If you haven't already, check out the shorty I did about the Big 12 commissioner writing that cease and desist letter to ESPN. And Patrick, do you have a shorty coming up, or you don't know yet? We'll see. All right.
We'll see.
We'll go with
The plan is to have one. Yes.
All right. Well, everybody have a good rest of the week, and we will talk to you soon.